Okay, so we're focusing on the third tetrad, and as you know, we're not basically going with the Anapanasati in its pure traditional form. What we're doing is we're actually looking at some of that spiritual bypassing, so that actually when perhaps we go to do that practice of the mindfulness of breathing, we would have been able to move some of the obstacles out of the way so that we could really be with the breath through the body. We focused on the body the first week. We focused on feelings this week. And this week, we're focusing on the mind. Yeah. It all goes down on the mind. Yeah. So what I want to say about this tetrad, traditionally, when we go through this tetrad, what we do is we gladden the mind and we experience the mind. And then we concentrate the mind and we liberate the mind. And when we liberate the mind, we're liberating the mind from all those hindrances, the traditional hindrances of sense desire, ill will, restlessness and anxiety, boredom, and doubt. Yeah. All of us will experience some of these hindrances, and for some of us, one hindrance will be stronger than the other. But the biggest hindrance that we as humans have is ourself. We are the biggest hindrance. We get ourselves in the way, and part of what we've got to do is get ourselves out of the way. How do we get ourselves out of the way? Okay. Whenever something happens, it becomes about us. We center ourselves. And in this practice, what we're working to do is to really loosen the identification around the self. And of course, if we come from oppressed communities, we are going to have a strong identification to the self. Okay? So, and if we are an oppressor, we're going to have a strong identification to the self. Okay? So all of us are walking around with a strong identification to the self. And what we need to do is, before we can even begin to let go of the self, we know that one of the core teachings of the Dharma is anatta, is non-self. And another core teaching, let's say, is anicca. Everything changes and the self is always changing. But what we do is we fix the self, okay? We fix the self, we appropriate the self, we become the self, and it's as if nothing changes, and the self is always changing. Yeah. So let's come back to this thing which I said, that actually all of us have to create a healthy sense of self before we can let go of the self. You can't just practice and think, oh, well, anatta, non-self, and we're going to let go of clinging the self. That just doesn't work. And I love quoting one of my favorite peeps, Dogen, who says to study the Buddha way is to study the self. Okay? To study the Buddha way is to study the self. Okay? Yeah. And in fact, I think of Pat Parker, who once said in a letter to my white friend, first you remember I'm black, and second you forget I'm black. First I remember I'm black, and second I forget I'm black. First you remember you're white, and second you forget you're white. What does that mean? Dogen was saying this. To study the Buddha way, you have to study the self. And then Dogen said, to study the self, you let go of the self. And you can only begin to let go of the self when you can have a healthy relationship to the self. You're not going to be able to let go of the self if you don't have a healthy relationship to the self. You're not going to let go of the self if we are completely traumatized and activated by some of the microaggressions around herself. And those microaggressions can be towards race, towards class, towards culture, towards gender, towards sexuality, towards different abilities, okay? External disabilities and internal disabilities. We're all temporarily abled. Well, not all. I don't know where I am. Let me speak for myself. I am temporarily abled. And because I'm temporarily abled, I can be guilty of having microaggressions towards other people and project things onto other people. And what happens is I can project it, and actually I can harm somebody by projecting my stuff onto other people. So what we're going to do today is really access another way that we can cultivate a healthier relationship to the self. Yeah. Because if we are going to be able to gladden the mind in this third tetrad, if we are going to be able to fully experience the mind, turn towards the mind, not engage the mind, if we're really going to be able to concentrate the mind and liberate the mind from the hindrances, liberate the mind from this is not me, this is not mine, this is not I. In the words of the Buddha, this is not me, this is not mine, this is not I. We have to cultivate a healthier sense towards the self. So we're going to do this, that our doorway is going to be metta, okay? Yeah. The Buddha, I won't go through the story of how the practice of loving kindness came about. There are several stories of how the practice of loving kindness came about. But just in brief, it was said that the monks and nuns were so activated by the extreme thoughts that they had in their heads. They were seeing apparitions when they were meditating. They were hearing awful noises. They were smelling pungent smells and tasting pungent tastes. And it was all too much when the Buddha had sent them to go and meditate at the foothills of the Himalayas. It's very hard to tell this story in brief, but it is brief. So they went running back to the Buddha saying, we cannot meditate at these foothills. The deities, the tree deities don't want us to meditate. And the Buddha said, calm down, calm down. And he gave this teaching of loving kindness and said, you have to go back. You've got to go back to the foothills. And begrudgingly, they went back to the foothills and sat in their kutis and began to practice. And with this practice of loving kindness, the monks and nuns became calmer. The deities, the tree deities became calmer. Their minds became calmer. Their bodies became calmer. So this is what we're going to do. So those of you who are familiar with the practice of loving kindness or the practice of metta, you will know that there are 5 stages. So we will begin traditionally with ourselves. And in some traditions, there are 6 stages. Some traditions have the benefactor stage, but in a way I was taught there are just 5 stages. So we're going to have ourselves. And then in the second stage, we're going to put the person in there. We're going to put ourselves in there, but we're going to put an aspect of ourselves that we like. So, you know, imagine if your good friend was talking about you, if your good friend was saying all the lovely things that they liked about you, what would they be saying? Okay. And all of us have a friend. If you can't think of a friend, think of a partner, somebody who likes you. What would be all the great things they would be saying about yourselves? That's the aspect of ourselves we're going to put into that stage. Yeah. Then in the third stage, we're going to put a part of ourselves that we just don't pay attention to, just neutral to, we're just kind of neutral. Yeah. just a bit iffy about ourselves. And in that fourth stage, we're going to put the aspect of ourselves that we don't like. You know, maybe we don't like the fact that we're always late, that we tell ourselves, or we put an aspect. We might even put the aspect of ourselves that actually we don't like ourselves, okay? Because some of you here on this call will have a troublesome relationship with the self. And you're going to put that aspect in. You're going to put that part of you in, and we're going to turn towards it, and we're going to give it kindness. So in each of these stages, we're going to give kindness towards different aspects to ourselves. And in that fifth stage, we will connect all of us up and then send it out into the world. So that's what we're going to do today. So you don't have to remember, okay? I will remind us at each stage. So if you get yourself ready, I'm going to set the timer up. So get yourself comfortable. Okay. And just have the sense of why you're practicing. Or I know many of us are in our homes, perhaps on our own, or there might be people around in the house, but just have a sense of all of us here. There's 61 of us here, and we're practicing together, and just have that sense of just cultivating this practice of loving kindness towards ourselves together. We're not doing it alone. It's so much easier to do it in company. Okay. So, preparation. Preparing your body. Just have a slight glitch with technology, so just get yourself arriving. Okay. So really have some appreciation for just having this time for you, just being able to take this time for you. You've managed to create this time of seclusion for you. And let's really see if you can have some seclusion in the mind, body. Yeah. So let's have the mind drop into the heart. Really see if the mind, heart can become one. In the West, we tend to split the mind, heart. But in the East, mind and heart is one. And we can split the heart mind when we get into our hindrances. So let's see if the mind can just drop back into the heart. Let the heart receive your mind with compassion and just really connect to the heart mind and experience the heart mind in the body. And the body dropping onto the seat, just let it go. Have the sense of just your body, just surrendering to the seat or the bed or the floor that's supporting you. And have a sense of poise in the body, even if it's lying down, there can still be a sense of poise in the body. The Buddha taught that meditation can be standing, sitting, walking, lying. So there can be poise in any physical stature that we have. And just surrender. And really see if you can bring this body, this heart mind, into the present moment. And we can do that by just letting go of all our responsibilities. If something's popped up in your head, oh, I should be doing this and I forgot to do that, just let it go. You can attend to it after, unless of course it's urgent. If it's urgent, pay attention to it, get up, do something about it, and then sit back down. But if it's not urgent, just let it go and just be here with all of us today. Have a strong sense of your posture. And just go inward for a moment. What's your emotional weather like? What's hanging around for you right now? Are you tense? Is there some sadness or some joy or irritation or anger? Just notice the place you're starting from, rather than wishing you wasn't feeling like this or thinking like this. Just accept what's going on in the body. And connect to your purpose. Why are you here? What made you come here? What do you want to get from this sit today? And make it small so you don't fail. But just something, maybe just a bit more relaxation. Just what is it that you'd like to get? Yeah. And be aware of just the energy that you have, the energy that you've got to bring to this practice. Some of you may be quite sleepy. Some of you may have just surrendered and started nodding, that kind of nodding, and just means maybe that you're just a bit tired, a bit exhausted. So you might need to apply a bit more effort or open your eyes or just accept you're just exhausted. Yeah. So take this last minute of practice to connect to the touch of the breathing. how lucky are we? We get to spend the next 36 minutes just focusing on us. Yeah. Just focusing on us. Give yourself permission. Invite yourself to just take this time to focus on you. So the practice of loving kindness, in fact, the Metta Bhavana, sometimes called the Maitri Bhavana, which means unlimited friendliness. So this may be a doorway in for you, cultivating a sense of friendliness towards the self, or a sense of loving kindness. Whichever doorway works for you, they're just both just as valuable. Yeah. So I want you to sit and just have the strong wish to be at peace. Yeah, just the strong wish to be at peace. And some of you may be wondering, well, what is peace? I have absolutely no idea what peace is. Well, for the sake of this practice, peace is free from the proliferation of thought. This is peace. Just imagine if you were completely free from the proliferation of thought, completely free from all your thinking. Allow yourself to have this strong wish as you sit. What does this wish feel like in the body? Yeah. Is there expansion, contraction? So just sit with this strong wish to be at peace. So the mind will wander. Great. That's just what the mind does. It's okay. The mind has wandered. Bring it back. And silently say to yourselves, or you could actually say it out aloud, may I be happy. May I be well. May I be at peace. May I be happy. May I be well. May I be at peace. And as you say these words or think these words, allow these words to be like pebbles dropping into a pool of water. And the pebbles, when a pebble drops into a pool of water, there's a ripple, there's a vibration. So allow these phrases to ripple out into your body. May I be happy. May I be well. May I be at peace. In this next stage, we focus on the friendly part of ourselves, the part of ourselves that we like. So perhaps take a moment to bring to mind, what are some of the things that your good friend would say about you? What are some of the things? Some of the things that your friend or friends like about you, and just bring this into focus. Yeah, and really see if there's a sense of warmth as you just think about some of the nice things that your friends would say about you, or your partner would say about you. And we let go of any of the negative things they might say. We're just focusing on the things that they like about you. And really see if you can bring this into focus, an aspect of yourself that you like, that your friends like. And really see if you can see yourself in your mind's eye. Place yourself somewhere where you experience being safe, or place yourself somewhere where you would like to be with just little distraction. And look at yourself with warm, kind, loving eyes. Yeah, and just receive this part of yourself. Yeah, get curious about this part of yourself that you like. So let go of any narrative or dialogue that's happening, and really see if you can experience what's happening in the body. And we can bring ourselves back by saying silently to ourselves or out aloud, may I be happy. May I be well. May I be at peace. And again, allow these phrases to drop into your being like a pebble, and allow these phrases to ripple in the body. The body is 90% water. So just allow these phrases to ripple and vibrate in your body. May I be happy. May I be well. May I be at peace. And so now we bring into focus an aspect of ourselves that we're quite neutral to. So you may look at it from this point of view. What's something that you've really wanted to bring into fruition about yourself? Sometimes we wish we would be more active, or we wish we could be more loving, and we just don't pay attention to it. We don't have enough time. We just don't have enough time to work on being more compassionate, or simply working on getting things done in the house, and we're just quite neutral. It doesn't bother us. But let's get curious about this part of ourselves that we just don't pay much attention to. There may be something medical that's just been niggling, and you just have been neutral to it. You've just put it off. I don't have enough time to pay attention to this part of myself. Yeah. Or there may be something else where I just don't have the time, and you're just quite neutral to it. Bring this part of yourself into being and get curious, and notice if the body begins to contract, begins to tense up a bit. And we're going to give this aspect of ourselves some friendliness. So look at this part of yourself, really see if you can see yourself in your mind's eye, as if you were looking in a mirror. Really see if you can look at yourself with warm, kind, loving eyes. And keep your heart open to this part of the self. And again, we say to ourselves, may I be happy. May I be well. May I be at peace. May I be happy. May I be well. May I be at peace. And allow these phrases to drop into your body, and just notice the impact on the body as you say these phrases. And have the strong wish to be happy. Yeah. Have the strong wish to be well. A strong wish to be at peace. So watch the mind. For some of you, nothing much may be going on, and this is when the mind begins to wander. Yeah. So give the mind something to do if it begins to wander, and just say to yourself, may I be happy. May I be well. May I be at peace. Now we enter the enemy stage. It's called the enemy stage because it's enemies of the mind. That's all it is. So when we think of parts of ourselves that we don't like, we get agitated, hot under the collar. We go into some strong narrative. We lose our focus. We get a bit unhinged. We get tense. We start to just get dysregulated. Yeah. And we're going to bring this part of ourselves that we don't like, even if you're somebody who's hates yourself, you're going to turn towards this part of yourself and get curious. Get curious. Get curious. In fact, there is no self to hate. Where would you find the hate if you pointed to it? Where would you find a dislike if you pointed to it? Yeah. It's all in the mind. So get out of the mind and into the body and turn towards this person that you have conflict with. So really see if you can see yourself in your mind's eye. Looking at yourself with warm, kind, loving eyes. And get curious about this aspect of yourself that you just get irritated with. Just wish you would be different. You just wish you didn't have that habit. You just wish you could stop certain habits. Just turn towards that person with friendliness, looking at yourself with warm, friendly eyes. And we say to ourselves, may I be happy. May I be well. May I be kind towards my suffering. May I be at peace. May I be happy. May I be well. May I be kind towards my suffering. May I be at peace. So we don't push away whatever is arising right now. As best we can, we stay seated on the bleachers, on the benches, and we just watch the thoughts unravel, unbind, play out. We don't have to get down off the seat onto the court and get into dialogue with the thoughts. We just offer kindness, friendliness towards this part. If you saw somebody suffering, you would instantly open your heart to be kind to them. So open up your heart to yourself and sit with the strong wish to be at peace. So in this stage, we have an awareness of the self, just noticing what you're experiencing right now. And we're going to turn towards the friend, yes, us. So we're going to be looking at ourselves, but we're going to be looking at the person who we like, the aspect of ourselves that we like. And we're going to bring this aspect closer and closer towards ourselves, as if we were holding this part of ourselves and integrating this part of ourselves into our whole being, into your heart. The part that your friends like about you, the part that you like about yourself. And just notice if it's difficult. Don't give yourself a hard time if you're unable to do this. Just notice and have a sense of friendliness towards it, towards what's going on. We're going to do the same with the neutral aspect of ourselves. We're going to bring this neutral aspect of ourselves right into our being. And as you do this, you might have the sense of your hands on your heart or your hands on your belly as you invite these different parts of you into your being. So the friend part of you, the neutral part of you. And we're going to invite the enemy part of you into your being. These are all parts of you. And invite this part into your whole being. And just sit for a moment in touch with all these parts of you. Allow yourself to have this radical embrace of the self. And saying to ourselves, may I be happy, may I be well, may I be kind towards my suffering, may I be at peace. When we can truly embrace ourselves, our whole world changes because we change. So this practice isn't just for us, it's for all beings. When we change, that has an impact on everybody around us. So just having the sense of beginning to radiate this warmth, this friendliness out to each and every one of us on this flat screen, having the sense of 65 of us practicing right now together and just radiating this kindness out to each and every one of us who's supported us to practice right now. radiating out this kindness into our homes. There may be people in our homes right now who are supporting us to practice. We've told them not to come into the room, we've told them to be quiet, and they're supporting us in our practice. So just having a sense of radiating out into our homes and onto the streets and into the world, wishing that all beings be happy, well, and at peace. And in this final stage, I invite you to take a breath and just pause. Really see if you can pause and just let everything go. If you've been holding on to anything, just allow the tension to go and to relax. See if you can open up the heart, open up the body, open up the heart, mind, and trust what emerges. Just trust. Listen deeply, listen to your heart's whisper. Yeah. See if you can hear your heart's whisper. It's so easy to hear the growl of the heart, the moan of the heart, the yowl of the heart, but do we hear our heart's whisper? Get curious and speak your truth. So just allow anything to arise without engaging in it, just allowing it to arise and cease. Bring the mind back. Allow the mind to drop into the heart, mind to settle into the body, and the body to settle onto your cushions. And just allow anything to arise. It's possible to have thoughts without a thinker. It's possible. May the merit gained in my acting thus go to the alleviation of all beings. My personality throughout my existences, my possessions and my merit in all three ways, I give up without regard to myself for the benefit of all beings. Just as the earth and other elements are serviceable in many ways to the infinite number of beings inhabiting limitless space, so may I become that which maintains all beings situated throughout space, so long as all have not attained to peace. So, we don't just have to let go of our possessions and our merit. We really do have to let go of our personalities. The relationship we have with ourselves, we have with the whole world. It's not rocket science. The relationship that we have with ourselves, we have with the whole world. Many of us would have grown up on that aphorism, if you don't love yourself, you can't love others. And I challenge that aphorism because in a way, if we don't love ourselves, we have an unhealthy relationship with ourselves. So we love ourselves badly. So the way we love ourselves, we are going to love others. So it's not rocket science. If you don't love yourself, you're going to have an unhealthy relationship with the self. You love yourself unhealthily, and that's how you're going to love others. This is why it's so important for us to learn to love and like ourselves. You know, this practice of loving kindness, unlimited friendliness is a part of the practices of the Brahma Viharas, and in every one, we begin with ourselves first. Yeah. And in a way, these stages weren't traditional. These stages were introduced by Buddha Ghosa because actually the way the Buddha initially taught it was this boundlessness, that it begins from ourselves and it's the boundlessness out into the world. But that was so difficult for many of us to comprehend, and Buddha Ghosa introduced the stages to break it down. But this practice is about learning to love in the world, to be in the world. And when we can do that, we can really begin to connect to that third tetrad, even the first tetrad of the body. Yeah. The second tetrad of feelings, where you have an experience of some joy, of some contentment. Yeah. Have an experience of becoming aware of mental activity, of calming the mind. And in this third tetrad, really have some experience of just gladdening the mind, of experiencing the mind, of concentrating the mind, of liberating the mind from me, mine, I, liberating the mind from this I project, liberating the mind from the 5 hindrances.